Welcome everybody. In this video, we're going to talk about how you're going to be graded on this wonderful project. So for our unit project, Safe Water Finders, there's a lot of different ways that you can get points for this assignment, but there's main topics that you want to demonstrate mastery of while you are presenting, and of course, while you're doing your research as well. So the first main category is pure substances and mixtures. The presentation should thoughtfully explain the difference between what a pure substance is and what a mixture is at the human and atomic level. So ultimately what I'm looking for here is pictures to help you demonstrate this is what a mixture is on a pure or on a atomic level. So there should be pictures of like molecules and atoms where they're intermixed. And then a pure substance, of course, would be made of the same thing throughout. So you should have demonstrations of what that is, and this is a perfect place where you can tie this into why water going through lead pipes is so not so great, because water is, of course, the mixture in that case, and then lead is our pure substance, and when they interact, that ends up giving us things that we don't necessarily want in our water. So I'm looking for pure substances and mixtures. At some point in your presentation, you should be talking about how they are different, why they are different, and what they look like essentially on the atomic level and on the human scale. That's what I'm looking for. For physical and chemical changes, that's our next big category. You should be able to thoughtfully explain the difference between what physical changes are. So that would be, anything where if you change it, but it's still technically the same substance. And then of course, a chemical change is anytime there's a chemical reaction. There's a lot of opportunities to discuss this in your presentation. Make sure you look at that organization video to get an idea of where exactly I want you to talk about this. But in order to get full points, you want to talk about what physical and chemical changes look like at the atomic level as well as the human scale. And of course, you want to have pictures. Pictures are the best way to help you explain to the city council so that they can also understand the difference between a physical and chemical change. The next category is atomic structure and reactions. So you should have an emphasis on valence electrons, the octet rule, and why things react. What I'm looking for here is why do certain things react with some things but not others? For instance, why can lead take the place of calcium in our bones but not something like hydrogen? So it has to do with those valence electrons. It has to do with how things interact with each other in order to get that 8 or full outer shell. So you should be using pictures, of course, to help you with this. And to get full points, again, you're going to be trying to include why lead can take the place of calcium in the body. So that would be your biological specialist. They should be the person covering that information, but everyone could touch on this on any of the slides because it has to do with why lead behaves the way it does and why hydrogen behaves the way it does in the water. So atomic structure, again, what I'm looking for, some talk about valence electrons and why that causes things to react. The next category, the next category is data tables and graphs. So we have a class data sheet. There's a link for that in your unit documents folder. And all features of your data tables and graphs should be formatted correctly. All the titles should be accurate. The data should be accurately calculated, and it should be represented accurately in your graph. So there'll be a separate graph video. Watch that as you get closer to that portion of class. You should be there around Thursday or Friday this week. So not only do you need to make data tables and graphs, the next category is actually interpreting those graphs and comparing your resources. So data analysis is obviously a big part of science, and you want to be able to look at the different water sources and prices of the piping thoughtfully and compare them so that the city council can choose the best option for them. So as you're looking at your different graphs, there should be 3 different graphs that you're interpreting. You should be able to compare them based on like what the units are and what their values are. There should be objective observations as well. Yeah, am I right, everybody? The next one is pictures and clarity. The information is presented in a manner that can be interpreted by anyone with no clarifying questions. What that means is all of your slides are very clear. They're very obvious. The language that you use is easy to understand, and the pictures do a really good job of reinforcing your ideas. I strongly recommend using pictures from the lead in the drinking water reading and maybe using arrows to even like point at different pieces of those pictures so that it can be very clear what you're talking about. Because honestly, most city council members aren't very good at science, which is a shame, but that means that we need to portray the information in a way that they can fully understand. Then the last 2 categories come from your ability to get your own job done and to help your team get their job done. So fulfilling specialist duties, this means that you are fulfilling your duties on time and you're doing it accurately, right? So if you are the biological specialist, you are doing all the biological specialist things. That doesn't mean you can't get help from a classmate. You absolutely can, but you need to equally contribute and do your specialty to the best of your abilities. And during the presentation, you need to present your portion so that you can get full points. The last category is team support skills. That's the student tries their best to support their team members by helping them problem solve, communicating frequently and respectfully, and by staying on task 95% or more of the time. If you want to get full points there, be a good teammate. We just talked about this last week where you identified all sorts of ways that you can be a good teammate. Keep pushing each other, keep supporting each other. Those are really easy ways to get points, but they're also easily lost if you're not being very thoughtful about how much you contribute. I hope this is a fantastic project. These are all the ways that you can earn points. This is a 50-point summative project, and you're going to crush it. Thank you, everybody. Finding the stop button.